Umsombuluko ntambama ngikubingelele and welcome to your #1 youth current affairs show khona la kunqa phambili SABC 1 Mzansi for sure. This is Expressions. Mina igama lami ngo-Azaria wakwaKhoza. Ake mbukeli ziningi izingqinamba esibhekene nazo njengezwe kodwa ke ukungasebenzi kwabantu abasha kuleli remains a persistent and severe challenge. This doesn't only impact the individuals themselves but also the country's economic growth and social stability. Ngakho ke mbukeli kuleli viki namhlanje lapha ohlelweni sizozama ukuthola umhlahlandlela ukuthi ingabe intsha yakuleli singayiqiqa kanjani mbukeli ngamakhono azosiza ukuthi iphokophele phambili. Khuluma Mtomusha.
Hello South Africa, my name is Elizabeth Mutlong and you're joining us from Expression, where we're unpacking everything youth empowerment as well as challenges faced by young people in South Africa. Together with me today, I have some young people, the young people themselves, to talk about youth empowerment, the challenges that we're facing, as well as how can we upskill ourselves to survive in South African economy.
People should be able to know that it's possible to grow your own businesses through social medias. You could sell whatever that you want to sell, but most important, you should always remember that you should empower yourself and always save money and have money.
Youth should probably pinch into that and go to social media, try to promote themselves and do whatever to make them out there, because right now, jobs, even if you have everything, you have metric or everything, but jobs is scarce nowadays.
As a part-time content creator myself, I know that skills like communication as well as the presentation skills and marketing yourself and putting yourself out there are the ones that you need for you to make sure that you're getting it done.
I'm way focused on affiliate marketing. That's what I do right now. So I don't have to have somebody employ me. So what I do is I gather information on what you guys are doing here and then ask the prices and everything, and then I just add my own amount on top of that.
One of the skills that I say would need, it's not really a skill, but it's something that you need to survive nowadays, is competitive skills. You need to sell yourself out there. If you don't sell yourself out there, then you're really not the target market.
Firstly, I'd like to say each and everyone who is young and has belief in themselves, you should surely have confidence in whatever you do, So if you have confidence in whatever you do, you can be able to succeed in everything that you want.
Ake mbukeli leyo imibono yabantu abasha balapha eNingizimu Afrika bebhunga coming up with strategies ukuthi ingabe intsha yalapha eNingizimu Afrika singayicija kanjani ngamakhono ukuze sikwazi ukuthi siphumelele phambili, because abantu abasha bayasho ukuthi imisebenzi ayikho lapha eNingizimu Afrika. Do remember that you can be part of this discussion. All you have to do is to call us on 011-714-0631 and also contact us on social media to share your views. But joining me in this conversation, I'm joined by Dumisile Leroux, who's a global youth advocate and also usebenza nabantu abasha as a CEO mbukeli at Tosaka. And I'm also joined by Leila Nkowana, who's a founder and director at NAPTA GMM Itireleng Agriculture. Ladies, welcome to Expressions.
Thank you so much for having us.
Leila, I just want to start with you. As a country, Sibuya Gute, I remember very well in the 1913, there was an act that prohibited black people to own land. And up until these days, sisabona ama-repercussions of that. Abantu abasha bayasho ukuthi siyafuna ukufama, we want to get into agriculture, but however, it's very, very difficult. Umfama osafufusa lapha eNingizimu Africa, uqale kanjani? How did you get into agriculture?
Okay, so I started farming in 2018, but I was working alongside with my mother, right? So my mother started while I was still in high school, and then after I got my matric, then I decided to join her. So when I joined her, I thought I was a bit playful, I would say. Yes. I didn't take it that serious. Yeah. And then as time went by, I saw her mentoring other students from agricultural colleges. Yeah. And then that's when I started being interested, and I was like, okay, I'll start farming as well. Yeah. So with your question being said, it's a difficult industry, but at the same time, I feel like nothing has to put you back. Yeah. You need to fight for what you want. Yeah. You need to get into spaces where it's male dominated. Yeah. People usually say that, but yeah, it's it's risky.
Yeah,
it's a risky business
it's a
to be
risky
in.
business. Do me just to rope you in on the conversation as well. We know very well ukuthi ucwaningo liyasho ukuthi ama-business amancane that are still starting out, from 20 to 50% of new businesses, they fail within the first 5 years beqeda kuvula. And you work with a lot of young people, mentoring them as far as business is concerned. I mean, you run a lot of initiatives, ukhuluma nabantu abasha on the ground. Ngicela mhlambe ungitshene ukuthi kubaluleke kangakanani ukuthi abantu abasha right now should start considering opening their own businesses based on the fact that imisebenzi ngathi imvela kancane South Africa. Do you think now it's high time for abantu abasha ukuthi basukume babhukule and open their businesses?
Sure. Thank you so much for the question, Azaria. A very important one at that, because tell you what, we're sitting with a staggering unemployment rate of over 46% of young people that are aged between 15 to 35 years old. Now, that is concerning. It's alarming for us as a country, and it's no longer a political discussion, but what would be a nation emergency that needs strategies to tackle this current situation. And yes, focusing on developing small businesses in 2025 could just be the break that we are looking for. Now, the NDP, the National Development Plan, has a goal to create at least 11 million jobs by 2030. Okay. The only way that we can be able to reach that goal is by paying attention to these SMMEs. The township economy itself is larger than the formal economy. Yeah. It's just that it lacks compliance. It lacks strategies that unlock emancipation and expansion. And again, that's why our organizations exist. One of the ones that I'm involved in now is the Green Youth Network, focusing on developing SMMEs within the green sector, from compliance, to mentorship, to funding, and even, when we talk about funding, how, funding actually happens and how you utilize the funds when they're allocated. That becomes another challenge in itself.
I like the fact that you just brought up funding right now, because baningi abantu abasha abahlele emakhaya, umuntu athi ngine car washing, ngine saloon, ngine I'm trying to start up my own business. I'm a designer. And always at TV, kuma newspapers and magazines, we always hear people talking about funding. But however, if funding, I figure le mali asiyazi ukuthi iphele laphi. How accessible is funding in South Africa as far as developing young small businesses is concerned?
Sure. I can tell young people now for free, funding is available. It is there. What we lack is the accessibility from a knowledge perspective and from a compliance perspective. We want to access funding, but we're not willing to go the extra mile to comply with the requirement for the funding. We're not willing to go the extra mile to actually follow the process that is required for you to be able to get to the funding. Let me give you an example. I once worked with NASPERS Labs. They then said they are wanting to fund a certain number of young people, but in order for them to get to that funding, they needed to go through a mentorship process. Okay. They needed to go through a process with a third party that was going to look into their businesses and establish exactly where the gaps are from a funding perspective and how the funds would be utilized. Yeah. Young people are a 2-minute noodle these days. We want to drive by, we want to go past McDonald's and just get the meal, and it just doesn't work that way. We've got to exercise persistence. We've got to exercise, having those fresh ideas that will enable you to getting to unlocking that funding. So the funding is there. I think the question is, do we know how to access the funding? Are we compliant enough to access the funding in itself? And also, do we know what type of funding we need? Because there are a number of businesses, to your point. There's agriculture, there's different sectors, green sectors, you understand? So many different organizations have made funding available, but you've got to align to these organizations in terms of who are they looking to fund and what are their mandates. And again, that is requiring you as a young person to go the extra mile in terms of finding out, where your fit in becomes.
Leila, I need to know, Uguti, is it true ukuthi mhlambe singabantu abasha asifuni kangako knowledge njoba uSisidume esho ukuthi knowledge and funding is out there, but then sometimes abantu abasha kubuke ngathi siyavilapha to go an extra mile. When mhlambe ngenkathi business nomama trying this agriculture thing, did you get funding somewhere or did you get help from the government somewhere somehow?
Okay, so we got help from rural development. Back in 2013. Yeah. They allocated a certain amount to us, which was the startup amount for the funding. Okay. And then came the second payment that they made. So what we did, like she said, you need to be able to know that when funding comes, what are you going to do? 1, 2, 3, 4. You just can't take funding money and then, start going on a shopping spree and, already that's where your business is going to break down.
Yeah.
So what happens is that we also decided to build our own storage,
Yeah.
if I should say.
Yes.
Yeah, we started with storage, we started with debushing, because they gave us 45 hectares of land. That is what we are operating.
Yeah.
So we started with TLBs because we needed to debush, we needed to take out the trees behind.
Yeah.
And then, that's how we grew.
Yeah. What are some of the challenges and the impediments, obstacles that you faced when you were starting out to business? Because abantu abasha, they tend to give up as soon as babona ukuthi engathi kunzima. Nina yiziphi ingqinamba benibhekana nazo?
Okay, Azaria, funding takes long.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen in like 2 months
Overnight.
or 3 months or overnight. Yeah. So I think sometimes people just, they lack that patience.
Yeah.
Because with agriculture, I won't lie, you need to be a very patient person. And coming into agriculture with the mindset that you are going to be rich in the next coming, let's say, 2 years, you need to take that mindset out. Because also, when you plant, it's a lot of money.
Yeah.
Equipment, it's expensive.
Yeah.
Land preparation is expensive. To plant is expensive.
It is expensive. Do me, before we go to an ad break, I just want to rope you in. Ukuthi mhlambe, do you think ukuthi our curriculum lapha eNingizimu Africa prepares abantu abasha to be business-minded? Because njoba esho ukuthi sometimes funding iyangena, but then the first thing umuntu omusha ayicabangayo ukuthi let me go shopping. Do you think that thina ezikolweni siyabafundisa abantwana bethu to be business-minded quickly?
I think, listen, there is a skills gap. There is a gap when it comes to, entrepreneurial readiness between school and the formal sector. However, I do want to acknowledge what SETAs are doing. We've got a platform called R2R where the SETAs plug in, and what we do is roadshows, career expos for these young people, and the business element is something that's definitely brought in, and I think the SETAs are also quite intentional in making sure that we do rope it in. So there is a gap, but it is being addressed very well by the SETAs through platforms like ours, the Green Youth Network.
Ake umuntu omusha sethemba ukuthi khona oqoshaqoshayo kule ngxoxo sikhuluma ngayo namhlanje lapha ku-Expressions. Ingabe are we doing enough to empower abantu abasha lapha eNingizimu Africa? Okwamanje ake sithi qhu $8. This is Expressions right here on SABC 1. Siyabuya. Ezebediela, ezirust, ezamukuhle noma ezonke izizwe noma ikuphi la usibukele khona mbukeli. Welcome back. This is Expressions right here on SABC 1. Hustlers Empowerment Initiatives mbukeli inhlangano ezisebenza ngokuzikhandla ukuze zicije osomabhizinisi abasafufusa ngamakhono ukuze baphophele phambili. They create events that make fundamental differences to the world and the lives of individuals. And right now we are joined in studio by Amanda Khatebe nomunye mbukeli ohlomlile kule initiative. Amanda, welcome to Expressions.
Thank you so much.
Usomabhizinisi osafufusa ngikubonile ukuthi uyabhaka amakhekhe, and just tell me a bit about your business.
Well, I started it in 2022, seeing as the state of the economy, imisebenzi ayikho, and you can't just sit around when you have gifts and skills that you can use to empower yourself and, make a living. So I started using the skill that I had since Ngithanda Baker from an early age. I used it and the people received it quite well. I'm getting business and I'm able to make a living for myself.
Yeah. Let's speak about the high rate of unemployment in South Africa. In the first quarter of Lonyaka Loga 2025, the rates were standing at 46.1%. This is staggering. Mhlabeni wonke jikelele. Mhlambe, as a young businesswoman, do you think mhlambe it's high time for young people to sort of stop looking for employment manje sisukume sibhukule and do our own businesses? Because by doing our own businesses we can also create employment for abangani bethu and our family members emalokishini. Do you think that's the way to go?
Most definitely. I think it is the way to go because you can't just sit and wait for a job or look. Even AMA graduates, they're sitting at home, but employment isn't there. It's not available for them. So if you start a business, you're able to empower yourself. You're able to create jobs for other youth,
Yeah.
nabo bakwazi ukusebenza, and then siqhubekele phambili as an economy.
Yeah. You know, esikolweni ngiyakhumbula nami when I was still doing grade 9, grade 10, there were subjects like EMS where we would do business plans. But I just also want us to speak about the curriculum yalapha eNingizimu Africa, and you specifically as an individual. Do you think ama-subjects owafundile esikolweni were preparing you to be a businesswoman? Okanye abantu bahlale basho ukuthi ama-subjects wethu are preparing abantu abasha to be employees. Do you think that's the case?
Well, in my case, I'm a subject in Wayenzile Eskolweni.
Yeah.
I think they were preparing me for the business world because I did the commercial subjects, your EMS,
Yeah.
accounting, yes. So I think it depends on the ones that you choose and the career path that you want to go into.
Yeah.
But most definitely, they do play a major role in the career that you are partaking in.
And I think by saying EMS, we are revealing our age. Abantwana abancane bayahleka bayazi ukuthi it's economics when you study ifundo zamabhizinisi esikolweni. I want you to talk me through some of ingqinamba obhekene nazo when you were starting a business yakho. Did you receive funding somewhere, somehow? Because, you know, young people are like, okay, we always hear about these funding initiatives, but somewhere, somehow, githi azifinyeleli. Did you receive funding, and what are some of the obstacles that you faced?
It was an obstacle in the beginning because due to lack of knowledge,
Yeah.
I just went into the business market not knowing what there were funds available. But then as I continued in the journey through social media and word of mouth, I met Lawrence Gege, who is the founder of the Hustlers Empowerment Initiative. Then we were able to get funding and support from mentors, sponsorship, cash injection into the business, and teaching the initiatives with finances and marketing, you know, just putting them into the business space and empowering them.
It sounds like kuning. You know, when you're a young person starting a business, you have to do your own marketing. You have to do umsebenzi wena, you know, you have to promote your business wena ngokwakho. I want you to talk me through the importance of having a mentor, because uyashukuthi you were working very close with Hustlers Empowerment Initiative. Kubaluleke kangakanani ukuthi uma ungusomabhizinisi osafufusa ube nalo muntu ozokubamba ngesandla and show you ukuthi this is how you do things, this is who you talk to, these are the doors ekufanele uhambe uyongqongqoza kuzo.
It's very much important because going into a blank space, lapho ungazi khona, it can be very frustrating because, as you said, you have to do everything yourself. So having somebody who guides you and walks you through the business world, it's easier. And doing so, mabakwenza nagiti, so we can be able to do that to other young upcoming entrepreneurs. So it makes the business environment a bit easier to maneuver.
Yeah. Hayi ke mbukeli uzwile indlela ibuzwa kwabaphambili. Okwamanje ake sithi qhu $8. This is Expressions right here on SABC1. We'll be back. Woza hlala phansi nethezeka mbukeli. This is Expressions right here on SABC1 Mzansi for sure. Uma ngabe usandungena mbukeli, namuhla sikhuluma ngokuthi intsha yalapha eNingizimu Afrika singayicija kanjani mbukeli ngamakhono nangamathalente ukuze ikwazi ukuphokophela phambili. We're basically speaking about empowering the youth, because the youth is the future of our country. Dumi, you know, I just want to come to you before before siya $8 sibone usisi that side obekhuluma ngokubaluleka of having a mentorship program. And I know that you work a lot with young people, you know, touching lives, kuwo wonke amagumbamane omhlaba basically. When someone wants a mentor, what sort of a criteria should they be using to select a mentor? Should you be looking at someone who's in the same industry as you are? So that, because sometimes out there people, they would go looking for mentors and then they end up being scammed because, you know, there are many people abafuna opportunities out there. What are some of the creation criteria that you should use when you want to select a mentor?
Sure. I mean, ideally, you would say that the first thing that you need to look for is residents within the sector, right?
Yeah.
But I think gone are the days where we're looking for people who are operating the way in which we wish to operate. What you need to do is show up for yourself by attending sector events, you know, which will have people who are doing well, that are leading the industry that you are currently operating within.
Yeah.
And within that opportunity, then enables you to have certain conversations. And you'll realize that the best thing that you need to find within a mentor is the fact that you guys need to sort of you need to gel. You need to be able to click, because once you're able to sort of open up to this person, they will be able to then guide you correctly, because you'd be able to really lay the cards open for them. But once you're having a mentor, because the person that you're looking at, you aspire to be like them only, and also it's only driven of the fact that you are in the same sector or within the same operation, it may be sort of limiting, as you may not open up your cards at all times. So mentorship needs you to have, the mindset needs to be attuned correctly at the time. Then you also need to find that person who would understand you where you are and meet you where you are, so that they can unlock potential that lies within you.
Leila, I want us to speak to a young lady in Venda, or a young lady osepulukwane noma emqanduli watching the show right now. Abafunayo nabo qala ama-business wabo, but it seems like bamanqika-nqika. They don't know where to start. What word of advice would you give to a young lady right now who wants to be a businesswoman?
There's no right time, so start. It's not going to be easy. You're going to come across challenges, but don't let those challenges bring you down from achieving your goals. Put yourself out there, like the lady said, you need to do your own marketing strategy. So, like for example, when I got into farming, I had to literally put myself out there, because I would push it on social media, on Instagram. I would constantly post, I would always, even if I had like maybe a cabbage, and maybe I would contact them and I would call them and I would say, oh, I have cabbages available. And anything that goes through a phone call and that you don't see, you would undermine it.
All right, thank you so much, ladies, for joining us. Sethemba ukuthi lapha ekhaya kukhona nawe okufundile lapha ohlelweni lethu namhlanje. Aeon is standing by with a song titled Business. Bye-bye.
It ain't always what it seems. Sit up on the table, ask you what you bring. Man, I'm bringing melodies and heavy swings. Moving like I'm riding in a Batmobile. I gotta step on business. Stepping on all their witness. I gotta talk that kingish. Tripping up on their feelings. Living their head with it. Living their head in it. Living their head with it. Man, I'm stepping on business. Business. Stepping on business. Business. Stepping on business. Stepping on business. Finish. If I'm stepping out the house, I need to make a scene. Not the homie gallivanting out in these streets. In the anxiety, hence why I really can't be seen. But if I'm border, I make sure I'm looking hella clean. Or iced out, you would think I'm flipping mean. I'm in my bag, yes, I'm rocking my own Billie Jeans. What's the level? Yes, you know I'm too astonishing. Broke a rule, so you know you gotta pardon me. Pardon me, pardon me, pardon me. Please, pardon apology. Kicking with me, I'm spelling me. Breaking no bread, I gotta eat. Look, one game, I didn't eat. So don't get caught in it. Yeah, I gotta eat. Love, one game, I gotta step on business. Stepping on all their witness. I gotta talk that kingish. Tripping up on their feelings. Living their head with it. Living their head in it. Living their head with it. Man, I'm stepping on business. Business. Stepping on business. Business. Stepping on business. Business. Stepping on business. Finish. So you wanna know about myself? I'm the young that with the fro on flare. Not a sort of struggles, but the sauces and the hair. Not a fan of bragging, you might think I don't care. Only competition, the reflection in the mirror. Past made me toughen up, I got a couple layers. Said it, yeah, got a couple layers. Got a couple skeletons, so I can't tell. Locked in at the bottom, at the basement of the shelf. Got a couple loose screws, I can't drill. It's feeling like an interview, I can't say tag. If we talking every score, let them know I earned.